Journey Across Gene's Saga. Book 1. Now, Then, To Come. Part 3. To Come. Chapter 3. Prison Letters. As you sit on your bunk, you squeeze your eyes shut, trying to force your thoughts to any of your kinfolk who might receive them. Mind silence. Thanks to your new position, working in the kitchen, at least now you know that Dolores and Teyuti are alive. News has it that Dolores isn't doing well, and that breaks your heart. She's always been so strong, but with not having Octavia around and all, she's lost her will to live. Just hang on a little longer, you think, tugging gently at her imperceptible, diaphanous rope that you can't feel but you know connects the two of you through some genetic link that you share, passed down through mitochondrial DNA. No one knows anything about Octavia's whereabouts, but that doesn't stop you from searching for the tug of her invisible string. You think you still feel it sometimes, and whether it's psychosomatic is besides the point. You want her to be alive, so to you, in the absence of knowing, she is. Your new job is how you know all the different people that you've grown to know and recognize over the course of your imprisonment and forced labor. As a dishwasher, you know everyone who passes through the kitchen in your ward, handing you their dirty dishes, and they know and recognize you. You give off an almost addictive charisma and get a smile out of the grumpiest of your fellow inmates. Little pieces of scrap fibrous material, the prisoners with XX chromosomes, who the overseers have caged together at a facility in a small valley of the mountain, are put to work weaving fiber and grinding dolomite into powder, so naturally they have learned to make ink with the powder and plant-based vellum with the fibers. This writing material can be easily passed under a bowl or around a spoon. When it's your turn to mop the floors, you can move around the dining refectory, picking up the small missive strips that get dropped from someone's hand. Everyone who can employs you and others like you to send their correspondence around the greater interconnected web of facilities that make up the entire mining complex. Not everyone can write, but there is always someone around who can write. You and the others are the equivalent of messenger pigeons in some ways. You don't read the messages. You couldn't if you wanted to. You just get the messages to the right person. And you do so without getting caught by the shiny faces. That's what you like to disparagingly refer to the sentries as. You don't actually know whether they have faces, but that doesn't matter. They are a threat, and thus subject to ridicule. Plus, how can anything be that shiny in such dull and dimly lit quarters? Your efforts to convince your people to open up to others hasn't been as successful as you would have liked by now. You have, however, convinced Bodza that organizing is your best hope for escape. It's not easy, cuz, Bodza whispers to you during your recreation hour in which you're permitted to fraternize with other prisoners to a certain extent. You're still locked in your cage, the one with the bunk beds, about 10 to a cell. Somehow, Bodza ended up in your cell a few days back. You've been playing it safe and not acting too friendly so as to avoid alerting anyone or thing who may be surveilling you. I know it's not. It's best to do it one-on-one. Who do you work with mostly? Our people, or... It changes. Sometimes I'm with the people from our own commune, and other times I'm with a complete stranger. If they are our people, but from a different community that I'm not familiar with, I can usually tell if they greet with one hand or two, but with our people, I usually have to initiate an interaction. Bodza shakes their head in frustration. Don't give up. We have to convince our people to open up. The person on the top bunk of the bed where you and Bodza are sitting shushes you, so you lower your voice. Our people need to realize who the real enemy is. If everyone here would just join together as one team, we could combine all our might and overthrow these machines. I just know we could. Nothing built by people is indestructible. And how long is that going to take, cuz? Bolza puts their hand on your arm. I'm not sure how much more of this we can take. I mean, Tesht, you aren't as young as you used to be. I just worry. You interrupt them in mid-sentence. Now, don't you worry about me, my young cousin. You put your other hand on their hand and squeeze. I'll be fine. But you're right. We may need to take more drastic measures. Silence. You take a moment to gather your thoughts. There is something that you've been wanting to try and it just might work. You start up again. We're going to need Tyrion if we're going to pull this off. The alarm goes off as the light comes shining through the wall vents near the ceiling. The usual unintelligible voice announces mealtime. The automated doors of your mass cage begin to open slowly, and you and your fellow prisoners move about your beds to eventually line up and make your way to the refectory. Tyrion climbs down from the top bunk of your stacked beds. Placing both feet on the ground in a short hop, he looks at you. Are you ready for this, Elder? He whispers as he reaches out a hand, offering to help you up. Please, Tyrion, call me Tesht. How many times do I have to ask you? Your toothy smirk shines through the dimness of the room. And yes, more than ever. The hand he grabs is the one with the T-shaped brand mark. It's been completely healed for a while now, and the white scar tissue contrasts starkly with your brown skin. You've lost track of how long you've been in this mountain, and as far as you know, there's only been 2 full moons since this new life. It's no way to live, but it is your life now, but only for now. Change is inevitable. Thank you, Octavia E. Butler, for those paraphrased words of wisdom. Everything and everyone is always changing. Why not do what you can to shape your change so that you and your people can go back to something like you had before? This new hypothetical life, wouldn't be the same as your life before that fateful night when you lost your freedom, but it could at least look a lot like it. I'd be lying if I said I wasn't terrified, but it's also very exciting. A coy grin forms across his shaggy, bearded face. I mean, so many things could go wrong. One of us, or all of us for that matter, could get hurt. How much compassion do you think these things have? You know that last question is rhetorical, so you don't answer him. Instead, you try to set yourself at ease. And everyone is on board with the plan? I told those that I could to spread the word. There was definitely some hesitation and pushback, but I think I've convinced quite a few people that we don't have much to lose. And some of the others have reported back, saying that they think they've convinced even more of us. And the younger ones, around my age, are eager to do some kind of collective action. It's been a long time coming. We've been here the longest. Like I told you before, I think our people were the first, or at least the first in this mine in a long, long time. And the kitchen workers have the pots ready, as far as I know. You take in a deep breath and let out a quiet sigh. We've been planning this for at least 15 sleeps or so. It feels like we're forgetting something. Do you think we're rushing things? I mean, this kind of direct action takes time to organize properly. We're about to find out, Tesht. Tyrion closes both eyes in a slow blink, much like a cat does to show that they's content, letting you know he's finally given in to your request. You look up ahead in the line and see Bolza, who is looking back intermittently, watching for Tyrion's signal. As you're herded through the corridor, 2 more cell doors slide open with a metallic clank, and more of your fellow prisoners join the line. You see the two people at the head of their lines glance at Tyrion, and he nods his head. Then, before you can realize it's happening, Tyrion gives the signal. He starts coughing, and then follows the coughs with intermittent moans and groans and more coughs. Instantly, you and the others in line follow suit. It takes some of the more timid prisoners a few moments before they eventually join in. Whether they'd been convinced to join by their peers or psychological herd effect had taken over, it seemed to be working. Within a few seconds, everyone was on their knees, while coughing and moans and groans echoed through the corridor. As planned, the shiny faces began to move around in different directions throughout the corridor leading up to the refectory, as if confused and unable to coordinate an appropriate collective response. The 4 other shiny faces that stand guard in the refectory come out to the hallway. At this point, some of you are pretending to have passed out while others continue to cough and produce guttural noises. While the creepy, shiny-faced humanoid machines are distracted, the kitchen workers, 6 of them, 1 for each automated sentry, rush out to the corridor with large steaming pots filled with boiling hot gruel and others with scalding water. Tyrion gives the next signal, a loud whistle, and everyone who's on the floor near the sentries quickly makes way for the offensive strike. Within a matter of seconds, which to you seems like an eternity, everything in slow motion, the mechanical overseers are covered in liquids and semi-liquid solids. Sparks begin to shoot from their hoods, sending zapping and whirring noises echoing throughout the corridor. Then, Tyrion is on his feet, pulling at you, and another older person to your left, beckoning you both to stand up. "Let's go! To the gates! Help the weaker ones! We've got to go! Now!" Chaos ensues as those who are more agile are instantly up on their feet, some making their way directly to the main doors, while others do what Tyrion asked and help the less abled folks. A synergistic euphoria spreads through you, and you think you can see it in some of the faces of your fellow prisoners around you as you make your way to the next exit as fast as your body will let you. Now, the sirens begin to blast. Their screeching causes instant nausea in you and in others that are auricularly sensitive like you. Over the blaring alarm from behind, you can hear crunching and smashing as some infuriated young stragglers give blow after kick after blow, demolishing their automated captors while letting out years of pent-up rage and revenge. An older prisoner, slumped underneath the sentry that is being pummeled, lies on the ground, unmoving. Someone tries to pull them up, but a fellow captive is pulling at them, trying to convince them that it's too late for their friend. You hear them cry to their friend, "Let's go, Tesht! They's gone, Tesht, I'm sorry, Tesht, but we can still save ourselves. Come on, please." Up ahead, there are 4 strong youngins prying open the steel gate through which the workers who chop at the mountain wall cross night after night. As they heave and pull, their biceps bulge through their tattered Mandarin jumpsuits, their brown faces squished up and flush from the exertion. Then, with a heavy scrape, the doors open, letting in the dry, suffocating heat and light as you take turns pouring out through its threshold like rats escaping their laboratory prison. Your eyes squint as Nop greets your flesh with an intense sun kiss. Seemingly at your feet, but really some meters away, the cliff edge makes a sharp drop. As the wind blows, making your one piece ruffle from the friction, you and your people look down to the distant valley below. A few hundred meters underneath the precipice, atop an opposing pine tree, a hooded crow squawks and points its beak upward to a cluster of bright orange dots high up on the mountain's cliff. It's begun. The bird, balancing on a spiny branch, turns its head around, its side eye staring at the 2 passengers holding on tightly to the gray and black feathers. It won't be long now. From the Journals of Trell. Missing Journal Entries. Friday, April 22nd, 2022. Stadium Camp. I missed you, he whispers in his groggy voice. I'm so happy you're back. I smile and kiss him on the lips, then turn from my right side to a supine position. A chilling draft creeps up my arm. I pull the pink and white striped duvet up to my chin, tucking my arms under it. Me too, baby. It was too long. I reply through a yawn. He strokes my beard. The rising sun peeks through the beige, half-opened curtain, blinding, ripe persimmon. I squint, turning onto my left side to face away from the morning. I take his hand and pull it around me, his muscular arms hugging my furry, plump chest. The worn-out mattress boards creak under us as we shift into a proper spooning position, me, little spoon. The wall clock ticks in the background. The whoosh, gurgle, swoosh of a toilet from above us interrupts the ticking. Suddenly, suburban noises echo around the neighborhood. Ambulances whirring, semi-trucks huffing. His body is warm next to mine. But wait, something doesn't feel right. My stomach wrenches. The apartment, the clock, the city noises, they aren't right. He's not supposed to be here. What the? The deafening screech of an air horn jerks me out of my cozy slumber. My crusty eyes open wide onto the dimly lit metal rafters of the ceiling far above. Crap. Out of your cots! A deep, violent voice bellows in throughout the now labor camp that was once a stadium. I can't make meaning out of what the baritone voice from the loudspeaker is emitting. Time to work, lazy jerks. I struggle to put on my tangerine jumpsuit, the preferred fruit of the ruling party. A rainbow is stitched into the left breast pocket. A tear trails down my right cheek as I scratch the itch from the implant in the nape of my neck. Why the heck did I have to wake up? I think to myself as I struggle to put on my slippers. From up close, the structure is quite impressive. A combination of sand-toned concrete and graphite-tinted steel forms an oval shape reminiscent of a spaceship resting on tens of wedge-shaped blocked pillars made of metallic lattice. But there is no vinyl foliage growing and climbing up the crisscrossed patterned pylons. Only the droppings of birds and splattered innards of bugs from gusty storms decorate the cold, silvery gray, sterile walls of this postmodern edifice. From above, a giant two-toned metal zero has been delicately placed on the outer rim that are the walls of this 21st century Colosseum, acting as the roof that shelters the spectators from the atmospheric elements. The immense, dull digit is the size of a small city block and looks like someone unraveled a slinky and cut it into strips to shape it. The inner part of the zero that encircles the empty center is a similar shade of metal as the outer shell of the base. Outside of the complex, it's a normal day. You can hear the sounds of car motors humming, horns honking, and air brakes huffing along Stefania Ut. Pedestrians scurry to catch bus 75 while trying to stay dry under their handheld nylon shelters. Blacks, grays, polka dots, stripes, plaids. The beeping of the double doors warns that would-be passengers that they're about to close. It's now or never. Get on or wait for the next one to come along. About 20 meters away, there's a crowd of damp people with cameras and phones conversing in an unfamiliar tongue, excitedly, posing in front of what used to be an Institute of Earth Science. Before the administration shut it down, they try their best to document themselves with this awe-inspiring Art Nouveau architecture of the late 19th century. With its Cobalt blue roof tiles is like a polished sapphire gem shining beautifully adjacent to a clumsy, dull 3D printout of an extraterrestrial salad spinner. The two structures couldn't be more opposing. The latter building, the arena, was finished only months before the viral pandemic reached this urban center, killing thousands and hospitalizing even more. In fact, this grand sports complex is just one of many that lie dispersed around the city, with its mustard streetcars, longo stands, and sweet smell of chimney cakes. Yet, presently, rare is the occasion for a chance to spectate a football match in one of these monstrosities. The virus made sure of that. By the first of the year, it, and more importantly, political manipulation, was responsible for over 40,000 deaths. This number is significant in a country just shy of 10 million inhabitants. Such a tragedy. The perfect tragedy, in fact, to devise a plan that would put the stadiums to good use while padding the pockets of politicians and business moguls alike. From within, the stench of humanity and suffering is unbearable. It's been what seems to be weeks, months? I've lost count, since anyone has been able to take a proper bath or shower. At times, I can barely stand my own stench. Sores and rashes have begun to plague my skin, despite my efforts to use what little resources we have to keep clean. I make sure to ration 3 capfuls of the dingy, putrid-smelling, refilled bottle of water that we are allotted a day so I can clean myself. Soap is non-existent here. I guess we're lucky to get baking soda and a toothbrush. When they showed up at my flat late one night, I wasn't given the opportunity to pack a bag. They were to take me to the police station. "You'll be able to come back home soon after we have assured your safety from the mobs," I was told, rather lied to. But I couldn't understand most of it. I just made out, "come back home soon." I pulled out my phone and opened the translation app and asked that he repeat what he'd said. "You are in danger from the mobs," it read. "What mobs? I haven't seen any in this neighborhood." I spoke into the phone and then held it up so the officer could read it. I did all of this as I hurriedly pulled my pants up over my legs. "They are coming. We are legally obligated to protect you." Another lie. The second officer wore an expression colder than the hand that squeezed my right bicep and pulled me toward the door. Luckily, I was able to grab my backpack with my diary and pencil case and a few other useful items. I would be needing my spare masks and hand sanitizer, no doubt. At the station, before they confiscated my phone and other belongings, I was able to get a message out to my better half that I was being taken into custody. Given the time difference, he should have gotten it. I hope he got it. I hope he knows that at least I tried to contact him. He knew about the recent escalation of tensions ramping up around me after the re-election of the current government, along with the addition of a few extreme right seats to the parliament who came out in support of passing of the referendum on April 3rd. People are rightfully afraid. My colleagues, other teachers, are afraid. The referendum essentially bans the so-called promotion of LGBTQIA two-spirit plus issues in the context of schools. The anti-LGBTQIA two-spirit plus lobby prefers to use LGBTQP in their propaganda, emphasizing the P for pedophile. Those people make me sick to my stomach, grouping child rapists with consensual relationships between adults or between teens. And their tactics probably work on a large swath of the voting population. 65% of voters voted in favor of the ban. Since then, and in the months leading up to the referendum, hate crimes against queer and trans people have been on the rise. One political party that translates roughly to the old ways claims that LGBTQIA two-spirit plus people were to blame for spreading the virus because of their promiscuous nature. They must be contained or we'll never get over this pandemic. That's when they started rounding us up. Of course, The Romani people and houseless folks were also blamed for spreading the virus, regardless of their sexuality or their gender identity. After all, they don't know what hygiene is, was the claim. They found themselves sleeping alongside us on layers of cardboard with canvas tarps as blankets. From inside, we are prisoners, but we are put to work every day, assembling cardboard boxes for the same grocery store that we used to shop at when we were still free. The irony. Another twist, the stadium, a place of supposed leisure and sport, has turned into a place of suffering and unpaid forced labor, slavery, basically. We're tired and scared. No, we're terrified. Many of us have been separated from our families. Who is taking care of Lotzi's 2 kids? Where are his kids? The kid's mother is no longer in the picture, and his life partner, Marzi, died from the virus a few months back. I feel so awful for him. At least I don't have that level of worry. Stupid silver lining. We have no idea what is going on the outside. We have no access to the news. Our phones were taken away from us. Are people as sick out there as they are in here? The virus is still spreading amongst us. Several people have died. Guards wrapped their bodies in the blue and yellow tarps and dragged them outside of the main area through 2 big black metal doors that crashed as they slammed shut. From inside, however, we also have hope. In the depths of despair, we have hope. Despite not being allowed to gather in groups larger than 4 people, we talk about our hopes. Despite being filthy and hungry, we hold on to that hope. Despite the anger and frustration, we believe our neighbors, our families, and our students will fight for our freedom. We have hope that they won't let the historical patterns repeat themselves. We have hope that good will overcome evil. From outside, the silver reflection of the moon casts shadows on us inside through that gaping hole that reminds us that we are but 2 metal doors away from freedom. Shadows stretch across the astroturf in the rows and rows of stadium seating. From outside, red, white, and green lights illuminate the exterior of the stadium. The colors of the national banner remind those on the outside of their freedom. Blood, red; freedom, white; avarice, green. The colors of humanity. The colors of late capitalism. The colors of patriotism. The colors of a lie. Thanks for listening to another episode of Fenn Thornbot Reads. If you want a notification for the next episode, don't forget to hit subscribe. If you liked what you listened to today, hit the like button. And if you think somebody else might like it, hit the share button. Thanks again, and we'll catch you next time. You can interact with the book online at fennthornbot.fan or just scan the QR code above. And may Holt guide you as naught makes itself scarce.